No, yours is good, Jeff. It's his. We've been telling you. He's going in and out. But he says he's good. He was about to get out of Iran.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, but his tickets were like for a few days before all this shit happened. He already had tickets.
Yeah, actually, I already got my ticket for June 18 to go out, but suddenly everything is stopped. It is called bad luck, cursing to bad luck. Actually, some IRGC people or some people beside my home on that hill, actually searching for those guys who were launching drones. Some people launch several drones from this park. So they are heavily searching and controlling this area by drones and controlling this area by drones and controlling this area.
Yeah, and I gotta go.
Have you ever flown to where the yarmulke and that you're a Jew?
No.
Okay. Armenian, right?
And as a matter of fact, you can thank an Armenian woman for not putting Malcolm X in jail, because his girlfriend that he went around Boston robbing stores, she was Armenian. And when they said, hey, just tell us he forced you to do it, and you'll go free, and we'll put him in jail for life. She said, nope, I did the crime, I did the time.
So we
thank a white Armenian girl from out.
Literally a Caucasian. Hold on. So we thank Armenians that ethnically cleanse black people out of North Hollywood. Should we thank them too?
They ethnically cleanse?
Absolutely, yes. Absolutely, they did. Yes, they did. Yes.
I'll tell you what. You know what? You know the Tuskegee experiments? Thank a Republican, Richard Nixon, for ending those.
Should we thank the Republicans that created the Lily White Party?
Where's a Turk when you need him?
By the way, are you wearing a cotton shirt or cotton clothes?
So hold on, Alan. Should we thank the Republican Party that created the Lily White Party and worked against our advancement and pushed for Reconstruction?
That's not true.
Oh, they didn't do that. The Lily White Party and the Republican Party didn't do that.
I gotta go. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
But did you just hear that, though? Somebody said, where's a Turk when you need him? What if someone said, where's a Klansman when you need him? You see what I'm saying? Y'all dish this shit out, but y'all can't fucking take it, man. This is crazy.
Oh, sick. Michael would lose his mind if we said it.
Where's a black baby mama when you need one?
Well, Abraham.
Wait a second.
The same place where your white trash.
Let me ask you a question. Abe, hold on, babe. Hold on. Let me ask you a question to the room. And one at a time, please. Does the room think that the world has become hypersensitive to words, right? Because words have meaning, but has the world become so hypersensitive we can't use words? And I'm not talking about the N-word. Obviously, the N-word, that's definitely off the table. But let me go to Pepe, and then I want to get Carlos back in the conversation in United. Pepe, what do you...
Well, a bunch of things. I heard Abraham, he said he made this claim that somehow because we are targeting a demographic, illegal immigrants, that's going to alienate us with Hispanic people. Hispanic men, over 55% voted for Donald Trump. While he was saying he was going to have the largest deportation order, you have to understand that, first of all, a lot of the Hispanic Americans, majority Mexican American, do not look at themselves as the same as the immigrants. In fact, in real life, they see themselves as different. And there's a little bit of antagonism that goes on between them. They look at the Mexican Americans as not real Mexicans. You don't speak Spanish. You've never been to Mexico. And they also, there's a lot, I don't need to go into it. But with that being said, yes, white people are becoming a minority. Who's also becoming a minority is foundational Black Americans. The only reason African or Blacks are going to be 13 point whatever percentage in the future is because even though you guys have below birth rates, below replacement level birth rates, your population is going to still relatively remain even percentage wise because of African and Caribbean immigrants. Now, what I see, and this is the funny part, and I think a lot of Black people are kind of realizing it now, is that as somebody who grew up around Mexican Americans and even Mexicans, there's no brown or black coalition. They will side with white people. They want to live with us. Our daughters can marry each other, but we'll never let them marry one of your sons. Well, there's a few exceptions, but for the most part, we don't want to live around Black people either side. I mean, Mexicans or whites. Look at how they operate in real life. Don't look at what they say. Look at what they do. They are very racist towards Black people. Somehow you guys think it's going to work out well for you. I don't see it happening. And we don't have the same problem with African immigrants that we have with white immigrants. Okay. African Americans.
All right, Pepe,
so I don't see this working out for you guys.
All right, Pepe, hold on. Let's go to United. I guess she wants to push back. How you doing, United?
Hi, how are you guys? I hope everyone else doing well, and the females and the gentlemen and the good people of the earth. Please, thank you so much. I understand where you're coming from, 100%. Literally. Racism, colorism is all like intertwined, culture, everything else. On some serious concept, it's okay for this deportation to happen now. Because why? Iran and Israel Israel's like literally like bombing each other as we speak right now, right? And as we speak here, the portion of the fucking goddamn Mexican going back, they coming back, and oh shit, where are we recorded?
Yep.
So no, sincerely, we have to just work as people. United Nations cannot be this close. Not.
What did you say?
United, land your plane. So, by the way, there's a number of leaks. Hold on, United.
She meant like United Airlines and not landing at all.
Hold on a second. Over 1 million people self-reported and deported themselves back to their countries. Go ahead, Rick.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to live around poor Blacks, but I don't want to live around poor whites either. So I don't know what Pepe's talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's that.
Yeah, but Pepe doesn't know this. I never said, we know how Hispanics feel. That's why when you look at the protest in Los Angeles, you don't see Black people, Black Americans largely represented. And let me just say this, Black Americans, in terms of our birth rate, has not fallen below replacement rate. We still are at 2.1. So we're still at we're still above replacement. We will fall below replacement by 2050. And so we're fully aware that we're educating more of our people on this issue and this reality. And it is said that if this continues, that the Caribbean population will certainly overtake us in terms of birth rate and population by 2050. So by 2060, actually, it's 2060, according to Pew Research. So we're fully aware of that. But once again, Pepe, we're not even talking about people that will join Black people on our side. I'm simply saying that if your fantasy, you and Alan's fantasy of a race war, it would start as a race war, but then it would evolve into a civil war in this country, because every radical organization, every radical institution that been waiting for the day would certainly take advantage of it. So this is why a lot of these radical institutions and organizations are so reliant on trying to get Black people and activate Black people to come out and protest, to come out and fight and stand next to them, because they understand the implications of the police state, the militarized police state, and they're hoping to induce a race war so that they can then begin the process of inducing a civil war. And again, with the state attacking Hispanics, as you've seen in Los Angeles, the radical organization, you're not here in LA, but in Southern California and California as a whole, because remember, 48% of LA County is Hispanic. There are radical left-wing organizations that have at this point well over 1 million Hispanics that are part of their institution or organizations that in a civil war would pop off in this country, and a race war would certainly piggyback off of Black people to set it off in this country. So understand that it's not about them aligning themselves with us because they love us. It's the fact that people would piggyback off of something like that to virtue signal to set it off in this country.
By the way, I just posted the link. It's at 1.58. It's literally, I think it's within 0.1% of what the white replacement rate is. You guys are literally dying off at the same rate
and it's
that
not
we are here in the
1.5.
United States.
Okay,
post the source. Post the source.
Yes.
Hold on.
Yes,
Pepe,
a birth rate of 2.1 per woman is generally considered low. That is below the replacement level.
We're not below replacement rate. We're at 2.1.
2.1 is America. 2.1 is low because you're not taking into consideration.
It's not below replacement.
It doesn't matter. Post a link that shows it's not 1.58. You're not going to find it.
It is.
You guys have been below replacement rates for a while.
No. You made the assertion that our birth rate, you have no evidence to show that our birth rate is 1.5.
I just posted a fucking link.
UN report says white birth rates are plummeting within the African American community.
And the reason is because
where's the link? I don't see the link in the chat. Where's the link?
Black people are willing to kill themselves way more than white people will ever kill them.
Pepe, you did not put a link in the chat. Where's it at?
Yes, I did. Just scroll up. You just barely. You barely have to scroll up.
Black people, it sounds like, I don't know who needs to hear this, but my foundational Black Americans, these numbers are startling.
Yeah, it's called.
I thought it was the white birth rate.
It's called self-replacement fertility.
Listen, Black folks, y'all better get to fucking. You better tell your offspring when they come of age, get to fucking, so we have the
Black
numbers
people
of this
love to have
so-called
sex.
fantastical race.
Black people love to have sex, but Black women love to kill their children more.
I'm not going to argue with that point.
Can I jump in there?
I think this conversation is pretty spectacular and not in a good.
Can I jump in?
Who's that?
Actually, we have a 1.62 birth rate. As I know it's ebbed back and forth, so we're slightly edging you guys out in replacement levels. But overall, we're both dying. We're both a dying population in the U.S.
Hold on a second.
Crazy.
Can I just make a note, just a step back for 2 seconds and breathe? We are literally on a call in the middle of our day in 2025 with all this stuff in the world on fire, like JB's thing said the other day. And a bunch of intelligent people with 100 plus, several hundred, whatever people in their audience are watching white supremacists, nationalists, whatever ideology folk, and other people argue about the replacement rate for different races over the next several years in the context of who's going to be the mightiest in the race war between cultures in the United States.
Oh, no, that's not what I was saying.
No,
I was
that's
saying
not-
black people should stop killing their babies.
That was Abraham.
Black people should stop killing themselves.
I'm not saying that.
Yeah, I'm actually speaking pro for black people.
I'm not saying that everyone is having, but that was the premise of the reason that we got into this conversation, because of Alan saying who would win the race war. And then we started talking about numbers and so forth and so on. So I'm just saying it's just so strange and weird that we're even strategizing on who's going to win the race of having more people, right? It's like not trying to be funny, but who gives a shit?
Yeah, but hold on, but it's important because the data that Pepe put in does not show that the black birth rate is at 1.5. He's wrong. I think he's looking at 1.5 or 1.6 million. I'm talking about
it says the fucking number.
I'm looking at it. It does not say that the birth rate of Black Americans is at 1.5. That is well below replacement rate. Right? You don't even come back from that. So you're lying. There's nothing that shows it. It shows that the birth rate is declining and is record low.
But hold on a second. Abe, here's what I don't understand, though, right? You've been, to me, you're smart, very intelligent. You push back on some points. But for us, let's say black culture, right? I hear people all the time, that's a part of the xenophobia that's fueling a lot of the sentiment against Mexicans for whatever it's worth, right? And I have no problem with my black nor brown people, right? So, or white people for that matter. My question to you is, what does it reflect or represent for you to have such a fierce debate with a racist about whether it's 1.5 or 1.6? What does that mean to you?
Well, okay, it's just data. I just don't like when people push false narratives. Like we're above replacement rate. If you actually add Africans and Caribbeans in, we shoot up to roughly around 2.2 in terms of our birth rate. We go to 2.2. But if we extrapolate them, which is about 25% of the overall population, it drops to 2.1. So we're still above replacement rate.
Post a link that shows that. You can't do it.
1.9 replacement is below replacement. So once you hit 1.9, you typically don't come back from it.
It's almost like you're arguing with the tiki torches in Virginia, right? Where you would not replace us. What I'm saying, the whole concept of people being replaced is fueling a lot of sentiment. My question to you still, before you get back into it with the Keegans and the Als and the Pepes, what does that matter to us on the app that don't think like Keegan?
Well, I will say this. We should be concerned about our population decline, and we should want to have replacement rates and continue to have replacement rates, because once you fall below replacement, that can mean that's big trouble for your population. That means you're going to continue to decline even further, and that is very dangerous. So I don't want that to happen to our people. I want us to remain above replacement rates. I want to see our culture perpetuated, our history, our heritage perpetuated, our families perpetuated. That's very important to me.
Hey, let me ask you a question. Hold on, Pepe. I'll come right back to your promise. And I'm only asking this question because of the rhetoric I've heard in this room all day. What community do you think is more anti-black, the white community or the Latino community, Abraham?
Well, obviously white America, because white America has the power to institutionalize their white supremacy and harm against us. However, we have seen when Hispanics gain that power, they get a battery pack, a white supremacist battery pack put in them, and they act on that, right? They act on that against us, which has harmed us. We see California as an example of that. So we understand that anti-blackness exists in all communities in the United States. We see it among Southeast Asians. We see it amongst Hispanics. We see it amongst the Chinese, Koreans, right? So we know that people hate us. That doesn't make us fearful. That actually makes us stronger, because we understand that there's something and there's a reason that they see us as a threat, and it has nothing to do with our behavior, because they've always seen us as a threat.
Wait. I need some clarity. I need some clarity here real quick before I give Pepe a chance to push back. Dean, you have your hand raised. I tried to bring you up a few times, my friend. So yeah, and I just want to get some clarity. So it's the white man's fault that certain segments of the Latino community are anti-black.
Well, we know.
We taught them. I'm just trying to understand.
Well, in a lot of ways, yes, because white supremacy incentivizes anti-blackness. We can look at places like, I'll give you an example, Nigeria, right? You have Liberians and you have Asians that come that are anti-black. When you listen to a lot of their anti-black tropes and how they feel about Africans or Nigerians, it's always usually predicated on rhetoric that comes out of Europe, or the notion of race science that came out of white supremacy. So yes, there's always been prejudice, right? There's always been a bias towards people. But when it comes to the actual idea of Black people being racially inferior, often when you hear other races engage in race science, it's predicated off what they learned from European societies or from white societies in any particular place on planet Earth.
Thank you, Abe.
That's accurate.
Hold on, Rich.
That's a fact.
Gentlemen, please. I promised Pepe to be next, and I need to do a room reset. Then I'll go to Keegan, then Rich. Pepe, go ahead, bro.
Yeah, I will say this. This is, I mean, listening to him in his, he's already been called out because he has one statistic totally fucking wrong, but whatever.
No,
when it comes to Mexico, all right.
You're wrong.
Shut up.
Hey,
now, when it comes to Mexico,
he didn't interrupt you. Please show him the same respect. Yeah, Pepe.
now when it comes to, well, I'll just narrow it down to Mexico, but we can look at the rest of Latin America. Okay, no, they've always been racist. They are racist. In fact, it's also, I guess, more akin to colorism as well. So not only do they think the Indians, they're the simple little short people that can't live in modern society. That's how Mexicans and Central Americans and others look at them. When it comes to Black people, they're bottom of the barrel. But who are their movie stars? Who are their models? Who are the people that are in the upper crust of society all throughout Latin America? It's the whiter looking group. Now, to me, it's just so funny to hear people think that they learned their anti-Blackness from white Americans. I mean, every single one of those fucking countries in Latin America had slaves. I mean, it's so naive and silly. The world doesn't revolve around America.
Yeah, I never made the claim that they learned racism from white America.
Whoa. What abracadabra?
Hold on. Not according to Americans, Pepe. We think we're the center of the universe.
Yeah,
but Mexico,
hold on.
Mexicans their world revolves around Mexico. That's how every group of people is.
No. I'm not arguing with you. I'm just saying. Abe, I'm going to give you 30 seconds, and I'm going to get other speakers involved. I got Keegan, Michael, then Fo.
Yeah, I never made that claim that it was white Americans. Once again, people are listening to respond and not listening to understand. What I said was that no matter where you go on planet Earth, when you look at anti-Blackness, it's typically powered by the rhetoric of race science that came out of Europe and has made its way around the world. So when you talk about colorism or race science in Latin America, it's because Europeans brought race science into Europe and they incentivize white supremacy, right? So in Brazil and other countries, they brought Europeans in and they told the Black populations, if you don't want to suffer the calamities of race, the best thing that you can do is whiten up your lineage. So they have something called, like in Spanish, la raza or whatever it's called, which was like improving the race. And improving the race is whitening your descendants so that they don't fall the racism and white supremacy that Black people befall.
Okay,
So yes, that's a clear example of that.
Thank you so much. I'm going to go to Keegan, Michael, and then Fo Luke. Keegan?
Oh, that's Keegan.
Yeah. You know what I wanted to say was, I hear about race science, right? And I hear that white people, and Asians and Latinos, they all have this racist race science. I did not know anything about race science until I got to Clubhouse, and I heard many, many Black people say, "You are a white man who you didn't evolve like the Black man from an ape. You came from the Caucasus Mountains, you were Neanderthals and cavemen, and that's why you act completely different. You don't have melanin in your skin like we do. Our melanin's our power. That's how we're compassionate human beings, right?" All I hear is all these crazy theories, race science, like Abraham's been saying. This is what I hear. That's what I hear all the time. It's just about how white people are actually devils. That we didn't evolve like black people. We're completely different, and then we are. But that's called race science. And the idea that then white people said, okay, if we're going to do race science, let's study IQs. Well, who conducts what an IQ actually is? That's a social construct that's made up by white supremacy to make black people dumber. Okay, all right, you win. What do you want us to do here? Because when a white supremacist says black people are inferior to us because of this, and this, based off of
you can ask me to make a phone call.
Getting a
yeah. If I can correct the last.
Could I go, JB?
But yeah.
The branches of science that study Neanderthal DNA within Europeans is evolutionary biology, anthropology, and archaeogenetics. So that's not race science. That's race science.
Wait a second, guys. Nye, CEO, and Sid are going to be running the room for a few minutes. So if you call me, I'm not going to be able to answer.
Oh, could I go next, JB?
You got JB.
Because Rich said, JB said Keegan, then Rich.
Rich, just go, Rich. Rich, just go, because he's not going to shut up until he goes.
No, I was just going to correct something. You know, with the Varna ancient Vedic framework categorized society in 4 main classes. I mean, this is just something that existed before colonizers showed up in India, also in East Asia and China and stuff. Anybody that was darker skinned was considered lower skilled, lower class workers because they would get more dark from working in the rice paddies and rice terraces. Also, MJ, what you said is factually inaccurate because, no, it's not factually inaccurate. I mean, it's like your narrative is, 2021 Princeton, what's his name? Lu Cho from Princeton University in 2021 showed that there's Neanderthal DNA in all humans on Earth, not just whites. So,
well, we know that it's predominant. It's more predominant within your.
Yeah, you still got it in your DNA, bro.
Populations. Sure, I mean, this is not a purity thing, but the person.
Well, the original argument 15 years ago was only in Caucasians.
Excuse me, sir. I'm trying to speak. It's okay. I didn't interrupt you. The previous person said this was a part of race science, the discussion of Neanderthal DNA within Europeans. And I had to clarify that it's not race science. I had to give them the actual branches of science, which this is actually studied. And there is a stronger prevalence of Neanderthal DNA within Europeans, and I don't think that's arguable. I think
it's like 1.2 to 1.6%. So it's 1.2 amongst Caucasian, or 1.6 amongst Caucasians, and 1.2 amongst the rest of the world. So
actually, it's
0.4%. Princeton University, 2021.
It's up to 2% for Europeans, up to 3%.
It's 1.6 and 1.2.
No, it's 2% for Europe.